Peace and blessings. Welcome back to the channel once again, where we talk all things health and healing from a holistic perspective. And today will be no different. Today, we're going to talk about 7 ways you can naturally detoxify your liver. Now, the reason why this conversation is so important and the reason why I have it over and over in different ways is because the more and more people come to me with ailments and issues, the more and more I'm realizing that many of their problems are actually starting in the liver. And see, most people understand the liver from the standpoint of being the organ of detoxification. But let's say, for instance, if you got hormonal imbalance issues, it could be your liver. Okay. Case in point, with women who have elevated estrogen levels, you get too much estrogen in the body and the liver isn't functioning properly. Well, the liver is responsible for removing excess estrogen. Okay. Let's say, for instance, you got gut issues, okay, digestion issues. It could be as a result of your liver. Why? Because your liver is not only responsible for, producing bile to emulsify and break down fats, okay, but it's also responsible for producing healthy cholesterol. It's also responsible for storing glycogen, which means that it can ultimately cause you to be either pre-diabetic or diabetic or have, blood sugar issues as well too. Which also means that it could be the cause of your cholesterol issues as well too. And so I can go on and on about the liver. And also just think about it like this. I just talked about how the liver is responsible for producing bile. Bile is there to emulsify fats or break down fats in your foods, but also more importantly is there to pull out those fat soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K. Okay. So it could be the cause of your vitamin D deficiency. It could be the reason why you're starting to have nighttime blindness because you're not getting vitamin A. Okay. So just hugely, it could be the cause of your vitamin K deficiency. So you're having clotting issues. So the liver is by far one of the most important organs in the body. And I've said this on multiple occasions. It's so important that nature decided that you could lose up to 2/3 of your liver and it will still be able to regenerate itself back to its 100% if there's not enough degradation. Okay, so hugely important. The liver is very important and it leads to a lot of other issues as well too. So the more and more I'm talking to people about fatty liver issues, the more and more I'm talking to people about hormonal imbalance issues that can turn into, gynecomastia for men or man boobs, which could turn into fibroids later down the line for women, which could ultimately turn into a cancer, like a breast cancer as well too. So the liver is very important. And here's why it's so important. Because never in history has the liver been this abused by this many different types of chemicals. So it's literally chemical warfare going on inside of our bodies when we start to think about the 10,000 plus chemicals that are let loose into our food supply, into our, cosmetic, hygiene products, household products, in the environment, etc. We've never been this exposed to chemicals. And so the liver is having to deal with all of that by itself. Okay. And we're doing nothing to help when you look at our lifestyles today. So this is why the liver is so important. Okay. And this is why you have to think about it from the perspective of you can't do something about your liver when something is wrong with your liver. You have to be preventative. You have to be proactive when it comes to your liver because you're getting toxins from areas that you don't even know where they're coming from. They're in the water, they're in the air, they're in your household products, they're in your mattresses, they're everywhere. Okay. And that's not my doing. That's just the world that we live in today. And so the more and more that the liver gets broken down and becomes more inflamed and eventually becomes more dysfunctional and then becomes more fibrotic and then becomes cystic. Now you're losing function of the liver, and all of those functions that I talked about earlier, all of these functions are no longer happening. You're not controlling your cholesterol. You're not controlling the storage of glucose. You're not controlling the detoxification of toxins in the body. You're not controlling excess hormones being produced in the body. You're not producing bile, which means that you're not emulsifying fats. You're not breaking down your food. Okay, so it just becomes a snowball effect. And then all of a sudden, your health is just slowly and slowly dissipating, and you're not noticing it. And it's unfortunate. Although we're taught about the liver, we're not taught about toxicity in the way that we need to understand it as healthcare professionals to be able to help you as the patient. Okay, so that's hugely important. Now, before we get started, I think it's really important to consider this. This is not medical advice. I don't do medical advice. What I do is teach you about nature. This is a natural perspective or a holistic approach to health. Okay, so if you have medical questions, then you need to talk to your doctor. I don't know what your specific situation is, but what I could tell you is this: the medical system is built on addressing symptoms, not addressing the cause. It's been built on catastrophic care. It's built on you coming in and having a full-blown situation, not necessarily you preventing that situation from happening. So you have to be an advocate for yourself and be prevention in your life. So this is what this conversation is about. Again, if you have specific medical questions around your medications or whether this is right for you, please talk to your doctor about that. Hugely important. Now, let's get into this. But before I get into the 7 ways you can naturally detox your liver, first, you need to know what are the signs and symptoms of a toxic liver. And I've talked about those before, but I think it's important to kind of go through those really quickly, because you could be experiencing some of these signs and symptoms and you may not even realize it, that you are having liver issues and something else is being blamed. Okay, so jaundice is a potential symptom where the skin becomes a yellowish in color. The whites of the eyes become yellowish in color. Nausea and vomiting, brain fog, fatigue is another symptom as well too. Loss of appetite, hormonal imbalance, like I talked about before. Gallbladder issues, and a lot of people are having gallbladder issues. A lot of people think the issue starts in the gallbladder. Quite often it starts in the liver, okay? And then the issue in the liver creates the issue in the gallbladder, okay? So ultimately, a lot of people who are having their gallbladders removed, if they address their liver issues, they could take care of their gallbladder in such a way, but you never have to consider removing your gallbladder, okay? And in many cases, you're having it removed and it actually could be functional, okay? Now, if it's mush, the tissue is essentially turned into mush, you have to have it removed. But at the end of the day, if it's still there and it's still, it's not necrotizing, it's not, breaking down, then you probably could still save it the same way you could save your liver, okay? So that's really important. A rash or itching, okay? So just random itching, that could be a sign of liver issues as well too. Vitamin D deficiency or any of those fat-soluble vitamins that I talked about could also be an issue as well too. So those are just a few of the signs and symptoms. Abdominal pain on the right side under the rib cage could also be a sign and symptom as well too. All right, so let's talk about real quickly what is punishing your liver, okay? Because again, body parts just don't fall apart. All right, that's hugely important. Like when something is ailing you, something caused the issue, okay? So you gotta address the issue. Nothing works until you address the issue. It's like literally it's like being in a boat in the middle of the ocean and taking a cup and scooping water out because water is leaking into the boat instead of just plugging up the hole in the boat. Okay? And this is what a lot of people are doing when they ask me, what herb or what food will help me with my liver or help me with my hormonal issues or help me with my blood pressure or help me with my high blood sugar, okay? If you don't plug the hole, you're just simply taking a small cup and dipping water out of it. Meanwhile, the whole boat is being filled up with water. So it's just hugely important to understand that. So some of the things that punish the liver, okay, that damage the liver, alcohol, okay? It goes without saying, alcohol, let me make this really clear. and I need to do a video on this, but alcohol is undoubtedly a poison. Okay? I know that you have heard that a glass of wine or this or that isn't bad for you, or you could stand that. But here's the thing. First of all, that's not true. It is an absolute poison. And second of all, it's important to consider that you're putting a poison on top of all the other poison that you're putting in the body, the poisonous food, all the poison that's in the water. The list goes on and on. So it's just hugely important to understand that. Fructose, okay, damages the liver. Processed foods, obesity, being overweight, damages the liver. Toxins, a fatty liver, okay, when your liver becomes fatty, that is damaging the liver. Medications like Tylenol, anticonvulsants, okay, Tylenol, NSAIDs like Motrin, naproxen. Having hepatitis, if you've been diagnosed with hepatitis, this also damages the liver. Biosludge or bio backup, okay, that also damages the liver as well too. So it's just hugely important to understand, and unless you're addressing the main causes and effects of you having liver issues, you're not doing anything. Okay, so I wanted to make that really clear before I jump into these 7, because if you do the 7 but you're not removing these issues, which we'll talk about in a second, you're essentially just getting a cup full of water and pouring it out of a boat that's being filled up with water. Okay, all right, number 1, okay, 7 ways to detox your liver naturally. Number 1 is increasing NAD+. Now, NAD is nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. Now, that's a big ass word. So all you need to know is NAD+. All right. Now, there are food sources for NAD+, okay? But it's also important to know and understand that with proper cofactors, having enough vitamins and minerals and other things in your diet being adequate in that area, that your body can assimilate this as well too. Hugely important. So food sources are going to be things like mushrooms, especially the crimini mushrooms, okay? Cucumbers are really good sources for NAD, and also green vegetables as well too. So those are really good sources to increase your NAD+. All right. Now, NAD+ is a co-substrate. What that means is it is a co-substrate for what are called sirtuins. And these sirtuins are essentially enzymes inside of the liver, and they actually help the liver regenerate. You remember when I was saying earlier that you could lose up to 2/3 of your liver and still regenerate the liver to 100%? Well, the reason why is because exactly what I just mentioned before is the fact that NAD, which is a co-substrate for these sirtuins, which are enzymes, are important for liver regeneration. Okay, so this is why NAD is important for that reason, but also because NAD improves mitochondrial function in the liver as well too. And your mitochondria is essentially what creates energy and metabolism inside of the liver. And again, that's important because, again, when you're getting a fatty liver, the issue is that you're not able to metabolize and break down all of that fructose. Okay, you're not able to break down and process all of that fat that is coming into the body that has to be processed. You're not able to break down all of the chemicals that are coming into the body, all the toxins. Okay, and NAD plus actually helps with this. Okay, so hugely important. That's number 1. Number 2, eliminate toxins from your lifestyle. All right, you got to look at where the toxins are coming from. Okay, that means you got to read labels. You got to do some work. All right, you got to read labels on your dish detergent. You got to read labels on what you wash your clothes with. You got to read labels on your food. You got to read labels on the things you drink. And never consume something you don't know what it is. We all have smartphones, so right there, you can sit there and type in what it is and is it harmful to the body? Okay, so that's one of the most important sort of tips that I can give everybody, is because at the end of the day, if you don't know what it is, then it doesn't make sense. Okay, but you do have, access to find out what it is in the palm of your hand. And so eliminating toxins from your diet, from your hygiene and cosmetic products, from your household products, removing plastics, And then also going organic as well too, because those pesticides, herbicides, and insecticides are going straight to your liver. Okay, and they are designed to, the word side means kill. Okay, they're designed to kill herbicides, herbs. They're designed to kill insects, insecticides. Okay, and they're designed to kill pests. Okay, like rodents. Okay, so if they can kill them, at minimum they can kill things and tissues in your body. Okay, so hugely important. All right, number three way you can help actually increase detoxification of the liver is fermented foods. Okay, increasing fermented foods in your diet will be very important. It's one of the things when I lived in Japan for the 4.5 years that I was there. It's one of the things that I noticed that was very consistent in their diet was the incorporation of fermented foods in their diet. Okay, and I asked people multiple times, well, why do you eat this? And they were like, this is tradition. And finally, I asked somebody and they knew what it was. And they were like, well, this is good for your gut. This is also good for your liver. This is good for inflammation in the body. You know, it's good for the good bacteria in your, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So they understood that they were incorporating. Many people didn't understand why they were doing it, but they were doing it because it was part of their tradition. And I guarantee you, the tradition understood exactly what it meant. But the important thing about fermented foods is they reduce liver fat. Okay, somewhere around 40 to 45% of the American population has fatty liver. Okay, almost half of the population has some level of fatty liver, which leads to dysfunction inside of the liver. Okay, so it reduces the fat inside of the liver. Okay, and inside of the liver tissues. Number two, it contains enzymes and probiotics that are really good for breaking down toxins. Okay, so that's another high mark as well too. It contains antioxidants. Okay, that's hugely important. Anti-rust, anti-oxidation. Okay, and the last one, it decreases inflammation in the body. Okay, specifically in the liver in this case as well too. So that's important as well too, because while you're in the space of healing the liver, the first thing you want to do is put out the fire, which we call inflammation. The second thing you want to do is remove what's causing it to be inflamed. The third thing you want to do is nourish the liver. And then the fourth thing you want to do is detoxify the liver, which we'll talk about in just a second. Okay. Number four, go sugar-free. Okay. Any added sugar needs to be removed from your diet. The only sugar you should be consuming is the sugar that's attached to fiber that you'll quite often find in fruits. Okay, that's the only sugar I would say that is good. Anything outside of that, and I would say it's an absolute no while you're healing the liver. Okay, fructose creates a fatty liver and an inflamed liver. Okay, and quite often when you're drinking sugary beverages, you're eating a whole bunch of refined carbohydrates, you're eating a lot of processed foods, it's going to have a ton of fructose in it. Okay, hugely important. Number five is manage your anger and your stress. Okay, when you stress or you're in a state of anger, it puts stress and anger in your liver. Okay, the body literally holds on to emotions, especially negative emotions. Okay, and you could guess anger lives in the liver. Okay, so if you're one of those people who are angry a lot, then that anger is going to your liver. Whenever a toxic emotion goes into the body, it creates toxicity, which leads to dysfunction. Okay, and even if you're one of those kind of people who you get angry, but nobody knows about it because you're boiling on the inside, that's probably the worst kind of anger. Okay, that's the kind of anger that turns into scary anger down the line. So managing your anger and your stress is going to be critical as well too if you want to heal your emotions. That's why I always tell people it's important to heal those unresolved traumas, because a large part of the reason why you sweat the small stuff and that you're so easy to anger is because of the unresolved traumas that you have not dealt with. So make sure you deal with those things. I'm still on my journey, and I'm inviting everybody else to be on theirs as well too. All right, number 6, fasting. Okay, fasting is hugely important for helping the liver not only recover, but to regenerate as well too. Fasting is good for decreasing fat accumulation. Again, fatty liver, 40 to 45% of the American population. It decreases inflammation as well too in the liver. It also improves cholesterol levels in the liver. And that's important as well too, because some of that cholesterol being overproduced could turn into the fat that is actually in the tissues as well too. It also increases liver cell turnover. Okay, and what that means is it helps with the regeneration process. And it also activates a process called autophagy. Autophagy is really important because autophagy is like intracellular cleansing and detoxification all in one. Okay, it's the body's waste disposal system. It gets rid of senescent cells or cells that are no longer functioning the way they're supposed to. It also tells cells that need to die, and it gets rid of them as well too. And that not only aids in the regeneration process, but it also helps the liver sort of improve its function as well too. So hugely important. There's various different types of fasting. I've talked about that in the video, so you should definitely watch that. Go back and watch that video. Hugely important on how to fast and the different types of fast, but specifically with the liver, water fast and dry fasting is very, very helpful for the liver. Okay. Number 7, and the final one, eliminate toxins from your body. Okay. Now, number 2, I told you to eliminate toxins from your life. Okay. That means getting rid of all the toxins that are coming in. Okay. Now, number 7, what I'm explaining to you is you need to get rid of the toxins that are in your body that refuse to leave. And most of the toxins that are in our body are stored in fat. Okay. And they are resistant to leaving. And it's the perfect place to store toxins because now it's not in the tissues. It is not in the blood supply. Okay. In the circulation. But the unfortunate thing is it's going to be difficult to lose fat now because now you got to truly change your entire lifestyle. But you also have to open up those elimination pathways. And that's difficult for a lot of people because most people are constipated. Most people don't have healthy skin. Most people don't sweat enough. Most people don't drink enough water. Okay. Most people don't have high functioning kidneys. Okay, so when you're thinking about all of these elimination pathways, most people's lymphatic system is stagnant. Okay, so when you're thinking about all of the ways that we eliminate toxicity from the body, most of them are blocked and stagnant And so with that being said, it's important to start to eliminate toxins from the body by opening up those elimination channels. Okay, and doing a full body detox. And if you're going to do a full body detox, you may need binders as well too. Okay. If you do a detox and it doesn't go as well for you, it's probably because you needed binders. And binders are things that bind up the toxins to get them out the body. Sometimes you can use a binder or a chelator that'll bind up those toxins to help get them out of the body. And you can add that on to your detox and then take it to the next level. A lot of people in my group Detox do that as well too. So those are the 7. The last and the bonus one that I'll give you, since you stayed to the end, is increasing glutathione, which is an antioxidant, because it helps to flush out toxins out of the liver. Okay, so increasing glutathione, okay, is going to be helpful as well too. This is very important for one of those detoxification pathways in the liver, okay? This antioxidant. So if you can get that increased, that's like taking it up to a whole nother level. So hopefully you have enjoyed the video. Hit that subscribe button, the like button, and check out all my other videos that are related to this. I'll try to put up another video that's related to this that you can check out. Until the next time, peace and blessings and Godspeed.